Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge. Good evening, Catherine. What do we know? What's new?
Well, let's take a look at Comey's decision not to testify in that non-public session next week. I went back to the summer of last year when he made a very public announcement about the Clinton emails, a 15-minute public statement at FBI headquarters. Less than 2 days later, he testified publicly before the House Government Oversight Committee for 4 hours and 38 minutes, and then in September for a second time before the House Judiciary Committee, and that was 7 hours and 56 minutes. So in that particular case, he showed no shyness in terms of going to Congress. Yeah,
so we don't know yet if he's going to go eventually, but not next week, definitely. James Comey, former National Intelligence Director, he's often cited by the, I'm sorry, not James Comey, James Clapper.
James Clapper, I know who you meant.
You knew who I meant.
I did, yes.
Often cited for saying no collusion.
Correct.
In that testimony. He was asked again about that and this investigation. Take a listen.
There was no evidence that rose to that level at that time that found its way into the intelligence community assessment, which we had pretty high confidence in. That's not to say there wasn't evidence, but not that met that threshold. It's not surprising or out of or abnormal that I would not have known about the investigation, or even more importantly, the content of that investigation.
So just so that everybody understands, there is this report that says there's no evidence of collusion. At the same time, the FBI has a counterintelligence, counterterrorism, whatever you want to call it, investigation going on. And he doesn't know about it.
Okay, so a CI case within the FBI is one of the most compartmented or closely held investigations, and typically they don't result in criminal charges. I spoke with a former CI agent this afternoon who said that it would reach James Clapper if charges were imminent or there was widespread evidence that Americans were being recruited as spies. But I think in this particular case, the normal rules don't apply because they were talking about the same issue, which was Russian intervention in the election and whether they had targeted Americans to work with them in cooperation.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it's usual. Very quickly, the FBI choice going forward.
Correct.
There's about 12 names
12
out
names.
there.
That's the short list,
right.
Apparently. So there are three that seem to stand out, at least for today. One is Ray Kelly, the former New York City Police Commissioner, the longest serving. He's had 2 terms with federal service here in Washington, at Customs and at Treasury. The former Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Rogers. Mike Rogers is someone who has good foreign policy credentials and a former FBI agent. But as we saw when he was up for CIA director, he took a lot of criticism for giving a pass in the Benghazi investigation that was run by his committee. And then John Cornyn, the Senate Majority Whip, who is well placed for that job, and as you were mentioning today, has been radio silent, which is often a sign that they may be a serious contender.
We will see. Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.